were just talking with Lori Wallach, the Executive Director of Global Trade Watch, about Fast Track Authority and the Southern Hemisphere Asian Free Trade Agreement, SHAFTA, also known as TPP. And some cool stuff is happening in Seattle. And Kshama Sawant is with us, back with us, council member of the Seattle City Council, member of the Socialist Alternative Party, seattle.gov, of course, the website. And Kshama, welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me again, Tom.
Thank you for joining us. Tell us what happened in Seattle.
What's happening in Seattle is really a microcosm of what we're seeing happening nationwide. And what we did on the City Council yesterday is just one of those examples. You just talked about the TPP and the fast track. And as the nation described it, TPP, if it's allowed to go through, will be like NAFTA on steroids, meaning every detrimental impact that we saw from NAFTA, ranging from the devastation of the farmers in Mexico to the, decimation of the labor movement in the United States and Canada, and the loss of good quality jobs, unionized jobs. All of that is going to happen in a magnified way if we allow this to go through. And now the question is, how do we stop it? Clearly, the Seattle City Council does not have legal authority to stop it because this goes to Congress. But passing a resolution against TPP and Fast Track like we did yesterday provides the impetus, the authority for activists all around the nation to keep fighting, to keep passing such resolutions on local jurisdictions like Seattle, and helps to build a grassroots momentum to push against Congress and against TPP, which is the only thing that ever works.
Yeah. And I understand that the Seattle vote no to TPP and Fast Track was unanimous. How did you pull that off?
It was unanimous, and actually I'm so glad you asked that question, because I'm the only socialist on the City Council, and there are a few others on the council who are left-leaning, but the majority of the city government in Seattle, like any other city in the United States, is dominated by the Democratic Party establishment, which is, primarily, even though they provide lip service to working-class issues, primarily upholding the interests of big business and multinationals. And I've actually been trying to get the TPP resolution, anti-TPP resolution, on the books for a year since I got into City Hall in January of last year, in 2014. And February, I started working on this along with the labor movement. And, it was stalled because the conservative leadership and the City Council had no interest in doing this, but they were forced to not only bring it forward, but also vote for it because that's how much public momentum there is. The labor movement, the environmental organizations, and all the social justice organizations, including the faith community in Seattle, are absolutely clear that that TPP, if it went forward, would be a really bad thing for our sovereignty, for environmental sustainability, and for the rights of cities like Seattle to govern in the interest of workers and not in the interest of multinational corporations. So what happened yesterday with the 9-0 unanimous vote, it really shows you that this simplistic dichotomy between, inside versus outside, you can either be an outside agitator or you can legislate and then you have to make compromises. That's the only way it works, and you have to make a choice. We're demonstrating that is a false dichotomy, and really you can get independent working class candidates elected to government, and you can, if you use that seat in a principled way, really empower and help to organize grassroots momentum that pushes the rest of the elected government into being held accountable.
Yeah, and increasingly it seems that just grassroots economic issues are not just populist and not just progressive issues. They resonate right across the board, as 35 years of Reaganomics has ripped the guts out of the middle class in this country.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I actually wanted to highlight that, we're heading into April tomorrow, April 1st, the Seattle's new minimum wage starts getting rolled out, the new law starts getting, enacted. But April 15th is a big day nationwide. Workers all around the country in over 200 cities are going to be walking out, and we expect about 60,000 workers to be demanding $15 an hour.
That is spectacular. And in fact, one of the more recent conversations that you and I have had on this program has to do with the minimum wage in the Pacific Northwest, in Seattle, and in SeaTac, and all of the loud proclamations from the usual sources that this was going to turn Seattle into a third world nation or whatever. What has happened?
Well, right now, if you come to Seattle, it's a beautiful spring. The sun is shining. There's a construction boom in the city. Many new restaurants and other businesses are opening up. And I will say this, there are this idea that, there will be an apocalypse if wages went up, this doomsday scenario. That kind of story is repeated every time the minimum wage is set to go up in any city or any state in the nation. And indeed, when the minimum wage idea was first floated, it was supposed to be devastating for businesses. But as a matter of fact, if people are concerned about small businesses, their local businesses, they should be joining us everywhere in every city advocating for higher wages, because when you put money in the pockets of ordinary working people, they spend it in the local economy. So just to give you a sense of the scale, when the full $15 an hour takes effect in Seattle, it will have meant a transfer of nearly $3 billion from the hands of the richest people to the hands of the lowest wage workers. When lowest wage workers see that salary increase, they spend it in the local restaurants, ice cream shops, and it benefits the local businesses. And when you give more and more money to the wealthiest people, what do? Where does that money go? It goes into offshore tax.
They stick in a Swiss bank account or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You and Adam Smith. Kshama Sawant, you've nailed it. City Council member of the Seattle City Council. Thank you so much for dropping by and for the wonderful work you're doing, Kshama.